So Nathan, you have just completed your first ever cover radio show. You've done loads of shows in the past on Schools Out and have done stuff in Easter holidays as well. But how was it presenting a show for 2 hours when you were filling in for somebody in the prime time, daytime slot?
It was a bit scary, and I had to be very quickly to organise the show because it was little time. And the show went quite well. I felt confident with it. Also learned new tricks on it by myself. I learned that you can talk before the end of the song, and I've learned how to snap the song straight into a song and speak what it is. I've learned new stuff.
So do you feel like by going into this 2 hour show and coming to somebody that will benefit you as a presenter in the long term?
Yes, if I get more hours, like 1 hour which I do on a Tuesday with John, it's just really easy. It'll fly past. But 2 hours, it slows down, and you have to think of new stuff very quickly, and you have to organise it, and you have to be one step further on each stuff.
Okay, so you've obviously mentioned John, that you present a show with John. So how does it compare presenting a 2 hour show on your own as an individual and having nobody else whatsoever in the studio with you, to presenting that 1 hour show with John?
I was going to say with 2 hours it's very better, but on the other side there is no one to talk to, you're talking to the listeners, but there's no one talking back to you. So and they could text on the phone and they could text on Facebook and everything, but that kind of not like socialising. It's not like no one's in the room with you. But having John with me for an hour is pretty good, and as me and him have a banter sometimes, and we always laugh about each other and we get stuff done. That's what makes time goes quick. We're both talking to each other. We're talking to the listeners at the same time. They're talking to us. So if we had a bit more time, we would be much better with it.
Do you feel like you're capable of presenting as an individual though for a big 2 hour slot? Say for example, if we were to say to you, we need you to cover another day, but we need you to do 3 hours, do you think you'd be capable of doing that on your own?
I can honestly say doing 2 hours on my own, I could do alright, but it's going to be quite a bit sluggish and a bit boring. That's the honest truth. I'm going to be a bit boring on it, because I am thinking that I'm high and energetic and everything, but with someone else like John, I know he's in the room with me. I know I could talk to him, and that's what makes it more energetic and more fun and better for the radio.
Fantastic. And obviously, going into the task that you've done today, what new tips and tricks do you think you have learnt and that you think you'll take into further shows in the summer and in September as well?
I'll take on the bits where I learned off of John. John started to use it at the start. He used to press the go button and then use it down. Obviously you told me, Craig, about it once, and I took it on board for a couple of weeks and then went back to my old thing, because I used to wait until the song actually finished and then went, I am Nathan on Take Radio 106.9 FM. But now I go, before the song, I go, for example, that was Kickstarts, by example, on Takeover, you're with me, Nathan. It's just more better, it's more time consuming.
So do you think that you've managed to maybe find a change in tone?
Yes, I managed to find a change in tone. It's gone from wait to go. So do you feel like, do you find that a little bit easier? Do you find that more enjoyable, more comforting? More enjoyable. I would love to see what happens in my show with John. I would love to see how he adapts into that show, and I want to see John's reaction when I actually learn something new. But still, yeah, it's really changed the way I do radio. Okay, and finally, let's just talk a little bit about Broadcast and Achieve. You've been on the scheme for a while now. You're now on our work experience scheme. How are you finding it? How are you finding Broadcast and Achieve as an overall scheme, as an overall thing? Do you feel it makes a difference? What's your thoughts on the whole concept? My thoughts on the Broadcast and Achievement is it's a good way to show what you can do. And it's the best. It's a good guide. It's like a good guide. It's like taking you on a massive tour, which takes you up to the top. And I do believe every time we do a new scheme, like the Easter holiday, the Easter scheme. If that didn't happen, I would have been sat, done nothing. But as I've been out, active, there, and I'm doing the shifts currently. But I'm coming back off my holiday to do some of them shifts. So it's brilliant. The broadcasting achievement has really changed the way of radio.
When you first started here, talk me through the training process. Talk me through what happened. Were you in a studio? Were you in a classroom with other people? Who trained you, and how did you learn the skills to present a show?
I can't remember his name because he moved to, I think it was Turkey or somewhere.
Was he German?
No, it wasn't Peter. It was.
Oh, Gareth.
Gareth taught me, but we were mostly in the classroom. But I have my cousin here, Alice, and I used to be on a show, but I didn't technically speak on it. I watched her and adapted from it, and then eventually moved to a show just before her, and then I moved to a Tuesday show, which I did with a guy called Harvey. But we moved to a Saturday show, and then on Monday, when I was before Addison, we used to have a guy called Harvey, and he used to be difficult to be with and stuff. And then we moved to a Saturday, and then then we moved to Tuesday.
And when you had finished your training and they said, "Here's your show," what happened then? Was there anybody in regular contact with you? Was there anybody in the studio with you giving you tips, or were you just left to it?
Gareth kept giving me tips. John, there was a guy called John Wilkinson. He first started doing it, and he taught me a bit, not a lot, a bit. But Gareth kept coming in. Graham kept coming in a lot, telling me about tips and tricks and all that lot. And then eventually I was left to it because they thought I was capable of doing my own show.
And when it progressed, and now, let's think about it now with working with John. What's your thoughts on that?
We're working with John.
Yeah, and just having that extra input again, because she was left to it, and then do you feel like you faded away from it by not having that input, and do you think you declined a little bit? What's your thoughts on being left to it initially?
I left to it, like doing my own show. I kind of go a bit downhill with it, because I'd love to have like John, someone with me and doing radio together, because it always brings different, it brings like comedy, but also it comes someone to talk to while you're between links. Because at the minute when I'm sitting at links, all I'm doing is I'm just sat waiting for the next song to finish. But when I first got the choice to work with John, I was like, yeah, I'll go with it. And then eventually John kept coming on my show, and we kept talking to each other, and we kept laughing at each other and stuff like that.